All right, everybody, welcome to a side project that I've also got going on right now. For several years now, my lovely fiance has started our garden from seed. And so for the first few months of the season, they've got to be on flats or whatever and become seedlings. And so we had a different shelf unit before. Each year, she's made more of an investment. And so we've got these lovely daylight grow lights that can be daisy chained from one to the next. The cords could be shorter. I wish they were. I could probably take these apart and shorten that up eventually. I might get to that this year. I might not. But we've got, 7 of these and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels on this rolling cart. It's nice aluminum, large size caster. And so we had shelves in here before, and she had hung these light units, which they come like that, but they could also be surface mounted. And so this year, I'll make us a bunch of shelves, which I went and did out of birch plywood, 1/4 inch, before I remembered that we're trying to put a screw in. And this isn't even that. This is a really questionable quality birch ply. Where do you get off selling me that? Oof, that I didn't even. Not just the void, but notice this is basically underlayment. It's one layer with veneer. I have to watch that next time. So not only was that a waste, it's a total waste. Then I got my act together and remembered that we've got to put screws in here because this is the old slip and slide over kind of maneuver. So we had to go with 3/8. And then I put a small bevel all the way around the top and the bottom so that I have a handy sort of edge that won't chip up and stab you. That's a better quality because what do we got there? A 5-layer ply, so that's pretty good. And what else was I going to say? So another nice thing is I put flashing on there. We'd use tinfoil and stuff in the past just to bounce as much light around as we can. But it's flimsy and, etc. So this is, again, more of an investment. Made all the shelves, got them all out of one full sheet of plywood because they're 25 by 16, I think. And then I went online because nobody else stocked exactly what I needed. I didn't want 16-inch flashing because that would be overhanging the bevel that I put on there and it would be a sharp edge. And so I got 14-inch. And I got 25 feet, so I'm doing 2 sides of a 25-foot long shelf with a 24-inch long piece of flashing, so that worked out with a little bit left over, which worked out perfectly. I've got, flashing just on the bottom side of the top shelf and just on the top side of the bottom shelf, and for all the intermediate shelves or middle shelves, obviously it's on both sides. So we got that far. I pulled out the roll. I used some spring clamps to keep the roll from just exploding out full length until I, just to be able to get out what I needed onto the table here. Simple carpenter's square and a razor score down the square, and then you can fold the aluminum and it'll just tear where you scored it. And so I got all those made, and then I used some spray glue, some Super 90, some 3M Super 90. I did try to roll out contact cement briefly. I had this silicone that I cured up at the bottom of a 5-gallon pail long ago just for a place to work with glues and stuff that will clean up, or Bondo. But it was a pain in my ass, so a coat of spray 90 on the wood, a coat of spray 90 on the aluminum. I carefully placed these. I just kind of eyeballed the border so that I got them all glued down. As a group, I clamped them overnight just to keep some pressure on everything. And I ended up with, this has been cleaned, but most of them have glue boogers and stuff and smears. See that? So as I'm going along here, I'm using some Goof Off and a rag to just wipe all the glue smears off just as a best practice. As far as mounting the screws, I had one extra piece of material from the plywood, and I put the screw layout that I wanted on here just in the form of a hole. And so if I line it up as a template with one shelf and that spike that I dropped, just a framing spike or any kind of a hole punch or whatever, I just go through my hole and I give it a tap with the hammer and a tap with the hammer over there. Then I can move this over, and I'm sure that I've got a little dimple to start my screws. The screws I'm using are like a number 8, 3/8 long pan head, And so with those, I found a washer somewhere. This is why I don't do how-to videos, by the way. So I've got a washer that's essentially maybe 75 thousandths, which is about what I need of the screw head sticking out to make a snug slide and jive connection. And so I just get him under the screw head as I run things down, and when it comes up snugly, I know that I've got what I wanted. So I'll proceed to do all of these, and then we'll see what that looks like. Okie silly dokio. This is just about the way I pictured it. Again, I can see if I can pop these fixtures open and just, you know, come up with a dimension, come up with a clean length for this cord, and take that much out of every one of these so they're not wangling, dangling. Whoa, back off there. Wangling all around. But you got a pretty happy joy little like daylight zone in every one of these levels. It looks like the bottom's a little tighter than the rest of them. There's a nice shelf on top for your watering can or whatever else, fertilizer and whatnot. At some point down the road, along with shortening the wire, or you know what I could do? I was going to say I could chase it through these uprights, but I still have to get it out of every fixture because the plug-in is so large that I can't get that to travel in there. So depending on what I find feels clean, we'll do another video. Integrating water would also be really nice, and I could run that little tiny hose system that they sell. I don't know what you would do, so I'll have to see if we can find a pan or what the flats that we would use look like, so that each level is getting water consistently. And then it would just be a matter of turning one valve on for a certain amount of time and then turning it off, and everything would get watered that way, which could be nice. But for now, every switch, you know, that's on the other end, it's on the other end, so I probably won't use those. I'll end up with a timer switch just to turn everything on and off. But other than that, we can zoom all around in here. You could zoom around your house with this. It'll go through a doorway in either aspect. And again, lightweight. And so then you can just collect all the shelves and set them aside in a group and stow the, you know, cart somewhere if you do something like this at your house. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you.